the wind wasn't totally whipping and causing some distractions for her Sooners visiting here in Shocker Nation. So definitely a nice little piece of weather they've got here in the middle of the spring.
1 ball, 1 strike to Romero, who lifts this one to shallow center field. Wiley Glover is on, and she'll make the catch to get the contest started. 1 away on a flyout to center field. Caitlin Bingham for Wichita State, making her 21st start of the season, her 29th appearance overall. 13-7 is the record, 3.21 the earned run average. 107 innings for Bingham, that's second on the team. 78 hits, 49 earned runs. Here's Fale Aviu, who takes one up high for a ball, 1-0.
Caitlin Bingham is one of 6 Shockers in this lineup from the state of Oklahoma, so there's a lot of redemption out there. I'm sure some familiar faces between these two teams. So Bingham out on the mound, leading the charge there and looking to kind of go against, again, her hometown and in her home state of Oklahoma.
Christy Bredbenner wants to beat this Sooner team badly, as she has faced them 11 times as the head coach of Wichita State and has yet to chalk one up in the win column. No better time than now with the Sooners at number 1. Pitch up high, 3 balls and no strikes now to Aviu. Oklahoma overall 46 wins and just 5 losses in this series that has spanned 51 games. 3-0, and the pitch to Aviu. Outside, ball 4, and on 4 straight pitches, a 1-out walk to Aviu. That's been the problem for Caitlin Bingham this season, Jamie. That is her 88th walk of the season against just 82 strikeouts. So she has got that walk to strikeout ratio a little bit out of whack.
Yeah, when comparing the two teams earlier before the game got started, just looking at the defensive lineups, Wichita State now has 163 walks on the season for their staff. The Sooners only 60. So the Shockers definitely struggling in that column as a pitching staff, and that's certainly something that has come down to be one of those really big factors for them.
Callie Clifton is in now, the number 3 hitter in the Sooner lineup at .405 on the season. The first 3 hitters in the lineup for Oklahoma, and again, just some ridiculous offensive numbers for this entire team. But Romero .451, Aviu .395, and Clifton here at .405. That pitch misses, and Madison Perrigan behind the plate wants to go talk to Bingham. Stoda's assistant coach Ryan Stefankowitz, and time is called. Oklahoma, though, leads the nation in batting average at .367, on base percentage at .456. Runs per game, they're averaging an even 8. Slugging percentage at .670 as well. So this is a team, you talked about the fact that there's not much wind. This Sooner team may not need it a lot of nights, as they can put the ball in play and hit it hard. Wind, no wind, or even against the wind for that matter.
Yeah, they know what it takes to win ball games, and really the last time that they saw a loss was February 22nd against UCLA. And that game, actually, they only scored 1 run. So you don't see them do that very often, and that's why they don't lose very often, now that being only the 2nd loss on their season, currently riding a 31-game winning streak as we speak. And with a win tonight against the Shockers, OU could set a school record for consecutive victories with 32.
41-2 is the record for Oklahoma. Ripped left field line, hooking, and this one will be fair. It'll be extra bases. Aviu rounding 3rd, and she'll put the brakes on. Down to 2nd goes Callie Clifton with a double. Speaking of slugging percentage, a 2-bagger for Clifton, and 2nd and 3rd, 1 away.
Clifton picking up her 9th double on the season. Again, that may sound like it's a small number, but it's really not. When you look at the lineup for this offense, that ranks up there actually 2nd on the team in doubles behind Romero at 13. So a nice piece of hitting on that inside half of the plate all the way out to left field with the nice bounce, though. Left fielder Bailey Nickerson able to get it in before OU could strike and come across the plate.
So 2nd and 3rd for Jocelyn Allo, the cleanup hitter and right fielder for the Sooners, who takes on the outside edge. 1 ball and no strike, or excuse me, no balls and a strike. Oklahoma undefeated on the road this season at 14-0. They are also undefeated at home 12-0. Their 2 losses at neutral sites. A swing and a miss, and Bingham ahead in the count. 0-2. Jocelyn Allo, 379, but 8 home runs, 32 runs batted in. Tips that one off of Perrigan's glove. Madison Perrigan behind the plate as usual for the Shockers. Neely Herring is at first base. Sydney McKinney at second. Lori Anderico's at short. Riley Buck at third. The outfield from left to right. Bailey Nickerson, Wiley Glover, and Addie Reese. Again, Perrigan catching. The balls and strikes of right-hander Caitlin Bingham. And here's the 0-2. That change, but a little inside. That's kind of her out pitch right there, and it just missed tight.
I thought that was absolutely close enough to get the call for Caitlin Bingham. I actually agree with her reaction there. And that's going to be the reaction of any pitcher when you throw a really nice pitch against a hitter like Allo, is you're looking for an opportunity for the ring up there, and she just missed and didn't get it on that changeup.
Another one down the left field line, and this one hooks just foul. Well, one thing we've seen early is this Sooner team is right on top of these Bingham pitches, as we've seen 2 hook dangerously close to being inside the line, and 1 double that was. So they probably would be better served to wait just a split second longer, but they are jumping right on Bingham nonetheless. Fortunately, 2 foul balls. 1-2, and the pitch. That one, Bingham tried to work the outer edge and just missed.
I like how Bingham is really using both sides of the plate. We've seen her go in and out, throwing hard but also soft with that changeup, and that's what this is going to be all about against this OU lineup, is changing the speeds and changing the plane of the ball, and she's attempting to do that with both sides of the plate so far.
Chopped foul, 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Nice little battle here for Allo as well. I mean, really just hitting anything that's close. Now in a 2-2 count, having fouled off 3 balls, you can definitely tell that she's got some experience at the plate. Although just a sophomore this year, she is doing whatever it takes to stay alive in this at-bat.
The 2-2 back to the screen, and the count holds. Oklahoma has 16 wins over competition ranked or receiving votes in the top 25. Here are their 2 losses, and you touched on one of them, Jamie, but get this. Their 2 losses, #1 Florida State and #2 UCLA.
It's fair losses, I think.
Yeah. Driven deep to center field, and I mean deep, and gone. And the Sooners have grabbed a 3-0 lead. 9th home run of the season for Allo. Runs batted in 33, 34, and 35. And a 3 spot for the Sooners in the top of the first.
I think with this battle from Allo, it was just a matter of time to see who was going to come out of it and win. And Caitlin Bingham really had some great pitches. Again, I go back to that changeup that could have rung Allo up a few pitches ago. But nonetheless, that changeup just hitting the zone a little too much. Low in the zone, Allo reaching down and sending it over the park. Again, we talked about how the wind's not going to be a factor today, and that one didn't need any as it was gone in a hurry.
Grace Green up high for a ball, 1-0. And so many times we talk about Bingham losing command, losing focus, falling behind in counts. She didn't there. She was ahead in the count, 0-2. So sometimes you just have to credit the hitter, in this case Allo, for working it back and then sending one to straightaway center field for a 3-run homer. So a team that averages a nation's best 8 runs per game is almost halfway there in the first inning. To right, and well struck. Addie Reese is back. Does she have room? She does, and makes the catch, reaching right up against the top of the fence. Well, you can't hit one much further and keep it in the ballpark than this one.
Yeah, this is a phenomenal catch from Addie Reese out in the outfield. Just a freshman this year, really battling not just the fence and how close that is, but the sun. She's wearing both a visor and sunglasses out there. That's got to be the toughest place to be on the field this time of the day. The sun is just setting right in your way, and she did a fantastic job tracking that ball and getting the big out.
Here's Shay Knighton now, the designated player for Oklahoma. Takes down low for a ball, 1 ball and no strikes. She is one of 3 Sooners recently selected to the National Pro Fast Pitch League draft back last week. And this one to right, fairly shallow. Reese is in. She'll track it down, and the side retired. But a crooked number for the Sooners in the top of the first on the 3-run homer for Jocelyn Allo. After half an inning, Sooners 3, Shockers coming up. Well, Oklahoma has put a 3 spot up in the top of the first inning. There's your Wichita State Pizza Hut starting lineup. Lori Derrico still a home run shy of tying the all-time record in that department. The record is 39, held by Casey Williams. And Jamie, she's an Oklahoma kid herself, so you know that she would love to tie the record, and who knows, maybe even break it, hold it all alone with 2 homers tonight against a team from her home state.
Absolutely. Last year, Wichita State gave themselves a chance in Norman with 2 3-run home runs and was actually leading 6-0 going into the 6th, eventually and unfortunately losing that game 7-6. But honestly, that's how the Shockers saw themselves pull themselves pretty close to a win against the Oklahoma Sooners. And Lori Derrico doing a great job so far, leading the team right now just as a senior, the only senior in the starting lineup tonight. And as you mentioned, Steve, from Oklahoma. So looking for that redemption and those opportunities against the Sooners as they visit Wichita.
Sydney McKinney to get it started. And Mariah Lopez right down Main Street to get it started in the bottom of the first. No balls and a strike. 17th start of the season for Mariah Lopez, her 22nd appearance overall. And if you think Oklahoma's hitting numbers are good, well, their pitching stats pretty impressive as well. How about a team ERA of 1.24?
Well, and a batting average for Mariah Lopez just by herself is only a 146, so batters aren't even hitting a $150 against Lopez out on the mound. So you're exactly right. This pitching staff has a ton of potential and a ton of opportunities and experience that's really going to lead them into some very long postseason opportunities.
She's not even their best pitcher. Giselle Juarez is putting up some incredible numbers, like an 18-0 record. Mariah Lopez has really got to pick up the slack. She's just 14-1.
Yeah, that's a tough 1-2 punch.
2 balls and 2 strikes to Sydney McKinney. 331 on the season for Sydney, a homer on the season. She's doing a nice job out of the leadoff spot. Homer and 12 runs batted in. She slices one the other way to Avieu, and Avieu tracks it down near the line, 1 away. Grace Green at first base. Callie Clifton is at second. Grace Lyons at short. Sydney Romero is at third. The outfield from left to right follow Avieu. Nicole Mendez, Jocelyn Allo, and then Lindsay Elam behind the plate, catching the balls and strikes of Lopez. There are your umpires, brought to you by Green Vision Group. Troy Kuykendall is behind the dish tonight. Royce Eller, and there you see the umpiring crew. Perry Owens at third as Riley Buck steps in. No balls and a strike to the new Shocker third baseman. Wichita State having to makeshift their infield now for the rest of the season after Kaylee Hecker got injured over the weekend in the series with East Carolina. Pitch in there for a strike, 0-2 to Buck. Hecker, the starting second baseman, out for the year, so Buck moved from first base over to third. Sydney McKinney from third to second. Neely Herring has moved into first base since the Hecker injury over the weekend. No balls and 2 strikes, the count to Buck. Riley getting it done at the plate to the clip of a .319 batting average, 8 homers and 35 runs batted in. Shockers with 42 home runs on the season. Not bad, you think. Well, it's not. Oklahoma, 79 home runs to start the game. And they've already upped that by 1 to 80 round trippers with the first inning homer. Buck flies out. Down the line in shallow right, 2 away. Here's Madison Perrigan. Speaking of Shocker home runs, Perrigan leads the team with 9 on the season.
Perrigan also leads the American Athletic Conference in home runs, total bases, walks, and is even third in her slugging percentage at a .641. So doing a fantastic job in her junior year and continuing to look to do that even in non-conference play, as she is also facing her home state, as she also grew up in Oklahoma in the city of Mustang.
Pair gonna head in the count, 1 ball and no strikes. Big swing and a miss there. Mariah Lopez, 85 2/3 innings on the season. 43 hits, just 13 earned runs. 22 walks, 118 strikeouts. Oklahoma has 3 pitchers, 3 that have struck out more than 100. Here is their walk to strikeout numbers, Jamie. 60 walks to 378 strikeouts.
That's pretty efficient for a pitching staff. That's not bad. All 3 of OU's primary pitchers actually rank in the top 20 nationally in strikeouts per 7 innings pitched, so they know how to get the job done.
Paragon off the end of the bat sends one to left, and the side retired in order on 3 flyouts for the Shockers. After 1, Sooners by a field goal. Beautiful night for softball in Wichita. There are your text run aviation keys to the game for Oklahoma. We've already seen them accomplish most of theirs. They've hit strikes and they've started ahead. We'll see if they stay. For Wichita State, Jamie, short at bats. Elaborate.
Yeah, I think short at bats are going to be important because we talked about the walks to strikeout ratios. You're going to see a lot of strikes coming from Lopez. So you need to go ahead and come in there seeing your first or second pitch and take it, because she's going to be more effective the later into the at bat that she gets. So you take 2 strikes, you're most likely to see an out, as she has a great opportunity to get the strikeout looking or swinging with her movement. So the Shockers really looking to be aggressive at the plate and swing at one of those early pitches if possible.
Nicole Mendez thought about jabbing at a pitch for a bunt, but pulled back for a ball. 1 ball and no strikes. Bottom 3 in the order for the Sooners here in the second. Mendez, then Lindsey Elam and Grace Lyons, as they sent 6 to the plate in the first inning. Half of them scored. Little cue stick up the third baseline, fielded by Buck, and a throw to first. 5-3 put out, 1 away.
Really happy with Wichita State's defense so far. Any of the balls being put into play, the Shockers really managing it well. Riley Buck not hitting the panic button, even though that ball had a lot of spin on it, and getting the nice first out there. And again, just continuing to have a great fielding presence. We've noticed with the shifting that they've had to do, with the injuries that they've faced so far this season, each player is doing a great job in the positions they've been placed in. So you got to really tip your cap to them and playing some great defense this season.
Here's Lindsey Elam up high, 1-0. Caitlin Bingham, for having walked 87 coming into the game while striking out 5 fewer at 82, does have opponents hitting only 207 against her. So she has not struck them out at the clip she'd like, but like that last play, she is letting them put it in play and trusting her defense. Although here, a line drive single to left for Elam. And another one, Jamie, where an Oklahoma hitter, and you could see Elam that time waiting just a little bit because her teammates in the first inning yanked a few that were fouled down the left field line. She hesitated and sent it to left.
Yeah, I think after the first inning of seeing Caitlin Bingham throwing at least 1 changeup in almost every at bat, the Sooners making an adjustment, talking to each other in the dugout, Elam almost looked like she was prepared to see and hit that ball in that at bat.
Grace Lyons takes one in for a strike, 0-1. Oklahoma's lineup, much like a Shocker lineup we see every year, where there aren't any weak links. 263 is their lowest batting average, but that was to Elam, who's already up that with a single.
Shows that you're a really great hitting team when you can have a conversation after 1 inning of seeing a pitcher and make adjustments that you have to in the dugout. So they're just working together as a teammate to say, hey, here's what I saw, here's what you can expect, and making those adjustments as early as possible in this game.
Down and in, 1-2 to Grace Lyons. Oklahoma's 31 wins consecutively ties program record. They last did it between April and June 3 years ago. So 1 more win in a row. And that'll be a new program record at 32. Shockers hoping to keep that from happening here tonight. This is the third time in program history Oklahoma has put together 30 straight wins plus, and 7th of 20 straight plus.
Patty Gasso in her 25th season with the Sooners has just done a phenomenal job with this program. They're always in the conversation when you're talking college softball. Every single year they're doing something that just doesn't surprise you. It's something that's expected of this program now, and there is a lot of girls who are just passionate about what they do here, and that just means that recruiting can only become that much easier as they continue to be successful. They continue to see really great players really kind of flocking to their program.
3-2, and this one fouled, and the count stays full at 3-2. This is the 7th of 11 straight road games for Oklahoma, and during the 25 years of Patty Gasso, that is the longest streak of true road games. Now, there have been other strings where they were away from home, but some of those games were neutral sites. But in terms of true road games, this is the 7th of 11 straight. That's the most in the Gasso era, which has been a quarter of a century. To center, Glover makes the catch, 2 away.
That was a great at-bat for Caitlin Bingham. I absolutely love how she just went straight at Grace Lyons at the plate, had a full count and could have easily thrown something out of the zone, but instead went right at her on that inside half of the plate and really just depended on Glover and the Shocker defense to have her back in that out. So that's a great job to her, especially knowing that you're going right back to the top of this dangerous lineup.
Well, you hate to say it when she's only 0 for 1, but Sydney Romero is due because she's hitting almost 500 on the season, and she's 0 for 1 already, but she flied out to center to start the game. All 3 outs for Oklahoma in the first inning, by the way, were fly balls to the outfield. Inside edge at the knees, 1-1. That was a good pitch by Bingham. In tight, 2-1.
Steve, you talked about how OU's been on the road and is going to continue on the road here, and we've talked about how they've been successful on the road too. They've actually won 54 of their last 55 true road contests. That goes all the way back into this year, the whole 12 that they've won on the road. So just continuing to do really well when they're traveling.
For the second time tonight, Wiley Glover catches a Sydney Romero fly ball. Had to work a little harder for this one, but the Sooners come up empty in the top of the second inning after a 1-out single. And after 1.5, Oklahoma 3, Wichita State nothing. Here we go to the bottom of the second inning. Shockers have spotted Oklahoma 3 in front of a sellout crowd tonight at Wilkins Stadium, and you couldn't ask for a better weather night than this.
It has been absolutely beautiful today. Wichita really kind of staying out of the stormy weather down south in Texas. I was talking to my family today, and they said that it is absolutely pouring down south. So Wichita having a nice piece of weather for the visiting Oklahoma Sooners. Both teams really welcoming this weather today.
Here's Lori Derrico, takes a strike, 0-1. We're underway in the bottom of the second inning. Mariah Lopez sent the side down in order in the first. 3 flyouts for the Shockers. Derrico is down in the count, 0-2. Derrico sitting at 38 career home runs. 39 ties her with Casey Williams for the all-time lead. 40 for Derrico, and she has the record all to herself. Swinging for the fences there, but behind, and down she goes, 1 away. '119th strikeout of the year for Mariah Lopez, her first tonight. Here's Bailey Nickerson.
Lori Derrico is really taking her hacks in that at bat, and that just goes to show you she is here to make something happen at the plate, which is great. You want to swing early in the count when possible. She saw 3 good ones and was unable to do anything and manufacture a hit in that particular at bat, but she'll definitely have more opportunities tonight and see if maybe that can turn things around for her Shocker offense.
0-1 to Nickerson. Hot shot to second, and Clifton can't backhand it, and on at first base is Bailey Nickerson. So first base runner of the game for the Shockers, first base hit of the game. Bailey Nickerson the other way with a one-out single.
It's a great job by Bailey Nickerson, and really a tough play for Clifton. That ball was just low enough that it's tough to tell if you should let it bounce first or catch it in the air. And fortunately for Bailey Nickerson, gets her on base safely with the first base hit for the Shockers tonight.
Nickerson really been hitting the ball well lately. Had a home run in the East Carolina series, and 1 for 1 tonight. Here's Addie Reese, somebody else that's swinging it well. Addie at 174, but she is 5 for her last 16. And a liner to first, snared by Green. Good job that time of going the other way, but unfortunately right at somebody.
Yeah, it looks like both Bailey Nickerson and Addie Reese seeing the outside pitch and sending that over to that right side. Addie Reese with just a little bit of a change in maybe her front arm, just kind of keeping things on an even plane. Maybe would have sent that out between Green and Clifton on that right side, but unfortunately just missed it, and that one staying in the air a little too long for the line drive out.
In on the fists, the first pitch was to Lauren Mills. That was a good job by Nickerson, by the way. You see her going back to first, of scampering back to the bag on that line drive many times. With a runner at first and a liner to first, you'll see a double play, but Bailey got back. They'll appeal, and Mills did not go around. 1-1.
Lauren Mills, another freshman in this lineup that's really stepped up here in the latter half of the season. Currently leads the American Conference right now in on-base percentage, has done everything it takes to get on base, primarily by the walk. But today, having lots of hacks and swinging at some pitches against the Oklahoma Sooners and looking to do a little damage with her very powerful swing.
Come on, Lolo.
Big part of the reason she leads the conference in on-base percentage is because of her patience and her ability to draw walks, which we saw a few times over the weekend against East Carolina. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Nickerson over at first, 2 outs, bottom of the second. Oklahoma with a 3 spot in the top of the first. A rare swing and miss at a pitch out of the zone to Mills. Down she goes. So the Shockers, a 1-out base hit for Bailey Nickerson. That's all in the second. We'll go to the third. Sooners 3, Shockers nothing. 3-0 Sooners. Oklahoma with 3 runs and 3 hits. Wichita State scoreless with 1 hit as Caitlin Bingham, shaky first inning, much better in the second. We'll see which version we get here in the third.
What I really liked about the last inning with Caitlin Bingham is that the very first inning that she pitched, it was 24 pitches. In the second, 14. So she cut it down by 10 pitches and really looking to be efficient. And that's really going to help her out on defense, is to keep that pitch count low and really go right at these hitters of OU. And of course, they're a great hitting team, but it's going to put the pressure back on them to put the ball in play and really rely on your great defense behind you.
Bingham frustrated with herself because she's fallen down in the count 2-0 to Fale of U, who walked her last time up. Down and away, 3-0. And there's not a good spot to, in this Oklahoma lineup, fall behind in the count or walk people, but this is the worst of the worst, with Callie Clifton on deck at 4:05, then Jocelyn Allo, who's already got a homer, 2 hitters behind. Grace Green bats 5th in the lineup. She's still 3 batters away, but she's at 432. So if you can't afford to walk hitters who lead off an inning, in most cases anyway, you certainly can't to this Sooner team. And there is the walk. On 5 pitches, Clifton, or excuse me, Aviu draws the walk, and she's down at first.
The View picks up her 20th walk on the season on that play and couldn't have come at a better time for the Sooners. As you mentioned, Steve, leading off an inning with a free base gets you an even better opportunity to come around. All it takes is a swift bunt or a nice piece of hitting out to the outfield, and things can get pretty interesting with that free base to the #1 hitter in the inning.
There's Callie Clifton now with a runner at first. Down and in for a ball, 1-0. Clifton doubled back in the first inning. She and a View, who is on first, scored on Jocelyn Allo's 3-run homer. Allo is on deck. Hot smash to third. Buck. Did she hold on? She did for the out. That one wanted to squirt out of her glove. And Riley somehow managed to hold on.
Talk about the hot corner. I think that Riley Buck understood she's way back in the base paths and did a nice job of staying in the zone and keeping her eye on that ball. It would have been so easy to take her eye off of it and focus too much on Folly View over at first base, but she did the right thing. The junior coming up with the big out, and again, just proving that this Wichita State defense is one to be reckoned with.
So here's Allo, who had the big 3-run homer 2 innings ago. Here, a runner at first with 1 away. And yet another one pulled foul. So on foul balls, on the line drive, we are still seeing Oklahoma hitters well out in front of these Bingham pitches. Here's one for you, Jamie. I've just dug out of the stat sheets. Starting the game, Oklahoma's on-base percentage. Now let me preface this. Wichita State, traditionally known as a very good hitting team. The sprinklers have come on here at Wilkins Stadium. Well, that's one way to cool off the bats of Oklahoma.
I think Patty Gasso was standing literally right in front of one of these sprinkler heads and bolted over to the third base dugout. I'm not quite sure what could be going on here. Potentially a timer that was set for the wrong time. Looks like it's continuing to water the grass here at Wilkins on either side of both first base and third base's dugout, looking to slow down now. But as you said, Steve, maybe at the right time for the Shockers to cool things off for the Sooners offensively.
Well, at least it's 71 degrees and not 41 when we've had games here this season.
Yeah, they may be hoping for some wind now to dry off a little bit.
2 balls and a strike. The pitch to Allo. And she promptly lines one to the gap in left center field. That's down for a base hit. View is rounding second on her way to third. We've got a close play at second, and safe is going to be Allo. And the Shockers don't like that call. Here's another replay, and a good job by the Shockers of getting this back to the infield and nearly a put out at second.
This is again Wiley Glover, out in center field, sending this one in to the second baseman, Sydney McKinney, with that attempt at a tag, but unfortunately it looks like it was the correct call for the Sooners. Allo really kind of sneaking in there on the front side of the bag, and Sydney McKinney on the back side to then have to reach around. So a good call by the umpire, and the Sooners continuing to strike.
Here's Grace Green now, and she sends one up the middle for a base hit. View will score easily, and that will be it. As Allo stops at third, an RBI single for Green, and it's 4-0 Oklahoma.
Green doing a nice job of really staying back in the zone and sending them one right back up the middle. You got to tip your cap to Lori Derrico with the nice dive, but even with the attempt, that one goes all the way out to center field with the RBI single for Green and gets the Oklahoma Sooners to a 4-0 lead.
So here's Shay Knighton now with runners at first and third, and it's 4-0 Sooners. Oklahoma has already hammered out 5 hits in the game. There's still only one out here in the top of the third. Knighton showing bunt, and it's foul. The stat that I was about to throw out before the lawn work started was the Shockers, we all know, traditionally a very good hitting for power team. Well, Oklahoma's on-base percentage starting the night was .457. The Shockers' slugging percentage was .456.
Wow.
Normally you don't see two stats that closely together, as we're going to have a double play here. 6-3 on the Knighton liner to short, and it could have been much worse. Instead, the Sooners score just a run. After 2.5, Oklahoma 4, Wichita State nothing. So here we go, bottom of the third. Neely Herring to start it off for Wichita State. She'll be followed by Wiley Glover, then back to the top of the order with Sydney McKinney. 8, 9, and 1 for Wichita State, trailing the Sooners now by 4 as Herring takes tight for a ball 1-0.
Neely Herring, another one of those Oklahomans on this Shocker lineup. Grew up in Chandler, Oklahoma, just a sophomore this year.
Swing and a miss, 1-1.
I was speaking with Neely Herring's dad, Barry Herring, after one of the last home games, and he said he's not missing a game this season. He and his wife, Lisa, have been out to every single game, home and away, for the Shockers this season, and they could just feel, even as a sophomore, the time just starting to tick for their daughter's, you know, college outing and her last opportunities to wear a uniform and compete in Division I athletics, and they are not missing a peep of her season.
Good for them. You know, she's, again, just a sophomore, but it goes by fast, doesn't it?
It really does. Faster than high school, which I didn't expect anything could have gone by faster than that.
And they're going to get their money's worth here as daughter Kneeling has just sent one the other way to left field for a leadoff base hit.
Nice piece of hitting from Neely. You could see her really taking this outside pitch, just kind of sticking her bat out there, but with enough oomph that just kind of got right past the third baseman Romero out to a view in left field, getting her Shockers started here. Nobody out with the leadoff on for the first time today for the Shockers.
And both base hits for Wichita State have been to the opposite field. Bailey Nickerson had a single to right field an inning ago, and now the Herring opposite field single to left. Wiley Glover a strike, 0-1. Glover at .279 on the season starting the game, and she gets this one down, and it's fair. Good bunt, throw to first, just in the nick of time. 2-3, but the sacrifice gets it done. And Herring to second base.
It's a great bunt from Wiley Glover. She made that a way closer play than it had to be. Typically a sac bunt, you're okay with getting out, but with the speed of Wiley Glover, she made that absolutely a tougher play than anyone would have expected. So a great job from her to run that out and to move Neely Herring into scoring position for Sydney McKinney.
So McKinney is up after flying to left her first time up. 0-for-1 start for Sydney. 27th game this season that Sydney McKinney has been atop the leadoff spot in the lineup for the Shockers. Sends this one fouling out of play.
Sydney McKinney was a great pickup for the Shockers at the beginning of the spring. She actually is a transfer from the University of Missouri, so had a little bit of time with that squad and decided that Wichita State was calling her name. So she made the switch and has been a fantastic addition to this team and has worked her way up to that leadoff spot and has been moved around several times, probably the most adverse player on this team, playing several positions defensively.
Sends this one to pretty deep center field, but back into her right is Mendez, and she'll track it down 2 away. So that'll bring up Riley Buck. Riley popped out to second her first time up. She's 0 for 1. She's done so well this season with runners in scoring position as she fouls this one out of play. And that's the case now with Herring down at second base. 441 is Riley's average with runners at second or third.
So far tonight, Riley has swung at every pitch she's seen, was 0 for 2 in her first at bat, had a foul ball. That one now being the first time she's seen one go by in an at bat so far against Lopez tonight. So it really shows that the junior is trying to do everything she can to get a bat to it, swinging early in the account and being an aggressive hitter tonight.
One ball, one strike. And the pitch to Buck. Bouncer to second. Backing up on it is Clifton. And she'll make the play in time. Shockers get their leadoff batter aboard, but Neely Herring stranded at second. We'll go to the fourth. 4-0 Sooners. Lindsay Elam and Grace Lyons to follow. So the bottom three in the Sooner lineup to face Caitlin Bingham. Chopped foul over toward first. 0-1. Shockers got bailed out in the last inning in the top half when Bingham was able to get Shea Knight into line into a 6-3 double play. See if that gives Caitlin a little boost here in the top of the fourth. Mendez shows bunt but pulls back 1-1.
Again, we talked about the pitch count for Caitlin Bingham in inning number 1, 24 pitches, 3 runs given up, but then in innings 2 and 3, just 14 pitches thrown. So a great job of, again, just really working her counts and getting those outs and getting them into the field. You know, really using, again, this high fielding percentage that the Shockers have proven that they have a nice build behind her and can really support her when she throws some balls in the zone. So she's done a great job, again, just being efficient, hitting the zone and really going at the hitters of OU.
Another well-struck ball pulled foul by a Sooner hitter. This one by a lefty in Mendez. Bingham's ahead in the count 1-2. And this one fouled off the netting. Still 1-2. Mendez led off the second inning by grounding to third. 0 for 1. Oklahoma 12-0 in conference play. That right there, when you're 12-0 in the Big 12, says a lot about how good of a team you are. And conference play is about 3/4 the way old, and you're 12-0 in the Big 12, and it pretty much doesn't matter what the sport is. You're really, really good.
Yeah, when you talked about their road experiences that they're having after Wichita State, they'll go on to play Big 12 opponent Iowa State in a 3-game series starting on the 26th on Friday. And then after that, the following weekend, will be at Oklahoma State. So in their state, and not too far from Norman in Stillwater, Oklahoma, but still away. And I'm sure having similar attendance that we've got tonight, most likely selling out, as that in-state rivalry in the Big 12 will round out things for both teams before the Big 12 championship, May 10th through the 12th.
Nice at bat for Mendez as she's fouled off a couple of 2-strike pitches at least. Another 1-2. This one is sent to right, and moving over to her right is Addie Reese, and she chases it down for the first out of the inning.
Really like the battle between Mendez and Bingham there. As you mentioned, Steve, Mendez really going at Caitlin Bingham, swinging at anything that she can, but Caitlin Bingham winning the battle there with the changeup, sending that one out to right field, and Addie Reese on it, the freshman, continuing to do great things in the outfield.
Here's Lindsay Elam now, who singled her last time up. And she's going to do it again. A liner to left, and she's on at first. 6th hit of the game for the Sooners. 1 out and a runner on first.
Looks very similar to what Elam did in her first at bat, sending a line drive out to Bailey Nickerson in left field. But again, the Shockers have a great opportunity here again for a double play to get out of a sticky situation. Now seeing Grace Lyons, who's going to wrap up the Sooner lineup before sending it back to the top with Sydney Romero. So this is a good opportunity again for the Shockers to take advantage of having a runner over at first base and look for that chance at getting 2 out.
Oklahoma's going to get a courtesy runner into the game. Audrey LaValle, a freshman from Choctaw, Oklahoma, is on at first. So LaValle will run at first for Elam. These two teams have a few common opponents, including one from the American Athletic Conference, as Oklahoma played Tulsa earlier this season and won that game by the score of 8-0. Of course, they also play Kansas and Oklahoma State, two teams the Shockers regularly play every year. They swept Kansas April 12th, 13th, and 14th. They still have yet to play the Cowgirls.
Another familiar face was Drake that they faced back on March 9th. Drake being a Missouri Valley Conference opponent for the Shockers 2 years ago when they were still in the Missouri Valley. The Sooners beat Drake 5-2 earlier this month.
Grace Lyons to right. Addie Reese has had a busy night already, and she chases another one down. 2 flyouts to right, 2 away. Reese now has caught 4 fly balls. This is number 4.
She's got to be happy that that sun is finally started to go behind the clouds again. The right side of Wilkins Stadium is faced with that obstacle every time they play during the day, especially this time of year when the sun stays out longer. So right field for both teams going to face that challenge. But for now, the sun has peaked behind the clouds, and Addie Reese is most likely very happy with that as she's been pretty active today.
Sydney Romero is mired in a huge, huge slump now. She is 0 for 2 tonight. A couple of flyouts to center field.
Not something she's used to doing is getting out.
Well, speaking of getting out, that one just did. (6-0) Oklahoma on the 16th home run of the season and number 50 for her career. Wow.
Unbelievable, especially with Sydney Romero being in her senior year. Just goes to show you that she is not done fighting yet, breaking records and meeting her high expectations for herself. As we mentioned, she had struggled so far against Caitlin Bingham tonight with 2 fly balls to center field. This time had just enough to get that over the fence and get the Sooners to a 6-0 lead.
Runs batted in, 46 and 47 on the season for Romero. The Sooners now have added to their lead at 6-0 on the 7th hit of the game for Oklahoma. Fall A of U, a ball, 1-0.
Coming into this game, Sydney Romero had an .896 slugging percentage. You talk about how hard she hits the ball every time she's up to the plate, and that time really making the Shockers see what that felt like, having now a 6-0 lead here in the 4th inning.
There's that change that Bingham can work so well, and that one feathered in nicely. It's 1-1. Bingham responding well after the home run. She's ahead in the count 1-2.
I was just about to say that I love how she's come right back at Folly of You, who she has walked twice tonight. So that just goes to show you getting ahead of her here, even after the home run to Romero, just shows her resilience and leadership on the mound.
Grounder to second. McKinney to her right, throws to first, and the side retired. But a 2-out bomb for Sydney Romero has upped Oklahoma's lead. The number 1 Sooners 6, Wichita State nothing. So the Shockers now down by 6. And for Wichita State, they'll send to the plate Madison Perrigan, one of the many Oklahomans on this team to get things started.
Madison Paragon is absolutely a leader on this team. In her junior season now has started almost every game as a shocker behind the plate and has just grown tremendously as a player here under the coaching staff of Christy Bredbender and Elizabeth Economan really working together, and even Ryan Stefankowitz, because she's in the bullpen every day with those pitchers. So a great leader for this team and someone who's done some really big damage both behind the plate and at the plate this season.
No balls and a strike to count to Madison Paragon. Lorian Derrico and Bailey Nickerson to follow. Nothing in 2 the count to Derrico. Pitcher circle is in sunshine now, just after 7 o'clock Central Time. But you can see the line creating the shadow right in front of the circle. So hitters are seeing the softball leave the hand in sunshine, but immediately after that it's in the shade. We talk about that a lot, Jamie. You see it at the major league level. It seems like especially games played on the West Coast during the day. Is that something that hitters really notice?
Sometimes. I think what's the big focus is just seeing it out of the hand of the pitcher. I think that the shade can absolutely play a factor in that. You know, but when the ball's moving as much as it is, like that one with the rise ball to Paragon, is that's really what counts, is just seeing it as it approaches your bat and making the decision whether to swing or not. You know, you have a split-second decision in baseball and softball to make that last-minute decision on whether to swing or not. Of course, if Madison Paragon knew that was going to leave the zone, she surely would have left it. But a good pitch from Lopez, and with the shade, it makes it that much more difficult to have a nice at-bat against her.
Lopez has now struck out 3, getting Paragon swinging. Here's Lori Derrico. In fact, speaking of strikeouts, Derrico was the first strikeout victim by Lopez back in the 2nd inning. To left, out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fale of You has moved to center field, by the way, for Oklahoma. Alexa Schultz is now in left for the Sooners. Chopped foul over toward third. In the meantime, Kyler Murray has run for a touchdown. The extra point was no good. 6-0 Oklahoma. Just getting psyched up for the NFL draft tomorrow, Jamie.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I hear you. Talking about professional sports in general, when you talk about OU having 3 players on this softball team being considered for the draft as well for professional fast pitch, it's just amazing what these college athletes are capable of.
This is back-to-back nights as you see Derrico goes down swinging. That's back-to-back strikeouts for Lopez, but this is back-to-back nights that an Oklahoma team has played here on a diamond at Wichita State. Oklahoma's baseball team was here last night and defeated Wichita State. Now their softball team off to a good start here tonight. 0-1 to Bailey Nickerson. Oklahoma making some news in women's basketball today as they announced that the great Jackie Stiles has joined their women's basketball staff. One of the greats all time in the game of women's college basketball. Bouncer to second, fielded by Clifton, and a toss to first. Shockers go in order in the 4th. That's the 2nd time today that's happened. We will go to the 5th, 6-0 Oklahoma. Shockers trying to get back in the game, but they'll have to keep Oklahoma's bats quiet here in the top of the 5th inning. 6-0 Sooners, as Kaylee Clifton will get it started for the Sooners. Jocelyn Allo and Grace Green to follow. 3, 4, and 5. 6-0 Sooners. Oklahoma has out-hit Wichita State 7-2. Even the outs that this Sooner team makes are normally well-struck balls. Erin McDonald got up, by the way, to warm up in the bullpen in the last inning. Don't know if she still is, but she was loosening up last inning. Low for a ball. It's 2-0.
This is a similar position that Wichita State was in when they visited Norman last year, leading by a score of 6-0 heading into the latter half of the game, and ended up losing 7-6. So anything can happen here. If you're still tuning in with us and you see the 6-0 lead, don't count the Shockers out just yet.
Clifton gets the 5th inning started by bouncing one through on the left side for a base hit. Derrico, a nice dive, but just a little too far to her right.
Lori Derrico is another one of those defensive players that's been very active tonight. We've seen her diving from left to right to try to get those balls to stay in the infield. A nice piece of hustle out there, but again, just out of the reach. And with the single is Kaylee Clifton over at first.
So a runner at first for Jocelyn Allo, the big 3-run first inning homer for her, and she's got a double as well. So 6 total bases for her, 3 runs batted in, and a run scored. It's been quite the night. You would expect it, though. Cleanup hitter for the best hitting team in the nation. 2 balls and no strikes.
Jocelyn Allo was one of those players to be recognized by the first team All Big 12 last year. In fact, she was the Big 12 Freshman of the Year last year, while Patty Gasso, in her 24th season last year, was named the Big 12 Coach of the Year for the 11th time. So talk about tradition and how this program just continues to get better and better, and has been just such a great program for so long. Jocelyn Allo just, again, adding a little touch to that as she's just a sophomore, continuing that bright future for OU.
And she's got 2 home runs tonight. She hit that one to Keachai. It's 8-0 Oklahoma. That one got out of here quicker than I think any ball I've ever seen fly out of this ballpark.
Yeah, Jocelyn Allo makes it look easy. That was just one of those swings that as soon as it was off her bat, we weren't sure if it was going to land at all, but I think the tree saved it as it knocked it down in center field, and the fans out there able to grab that ball, and the Oklahoma Sooners hanging out waiting for Allo to come across. And for the 3rd time tonight, she has had a large piece of hitting back in the 3rd on base too. So 3 for 3 tonight with 2 home runs. Can't say she's had a very bad night at all.
Christy Bredbender out of the dugout to talk to Caitlin Bingham. Enough's enough. So here we go. Grace Green is in. So Oklahoma has now gone up over the 80 home run mark with 2 tonight to 81. Hot shot, jumping and making a nice play. Riley Buck at 3rd. And that'll be a candidate at the end of the game for our Bud Light play of the game. Nicely done by Riley.
This is such a tough play too. That ball taking the high bounce right in front of Riley Buck. And what a great job she has done tonight defensively over there at the hot corner. Again, just continuing to highlight the opportunities the Shockers have defensively to just continue to have the backs of their pitching staff. Riley Buck, just a phenomenal play over at 3rd base.
Looks like Reagan Rogers is going to come out of the dugout for Oklahoma, and she will pinch hit. So Rogers hits for Shea Knighton, the designated player. As I mentioned earlier, though, Jamie, and Knighton's a perfect example. Even the outs, Oklahoma makes many of them very well-struck balls, and Green's bouncer to 3rd was another one. Rogers takes up high. So we now, with Knighton being hit for, have a Knighton sister in each dugout. The Shockers Director of Operations, A.J. Knighton, is in the Shocker dugout, and then Sister Shea is in the Oklahoma.
Yeah, pretty cool to have the sisterly competition. MJ coming in from the University of Nebraska and coming in and helping the staff here at Wichita State doing her master's program while she's at it. So having a good time in Wichita. The Shockers thankful to have her, but then also being so close to her sister Shea, who's only just a couple years younger and only a couple hours away down in Norman. The two definitely get a chance to visit every time that they can. And Shea has been up here in Wichita before tonight and getting to know the city a little bit more as her sister is now residing here for the program.
So MJ couldn't talk Shea into transferring, I guess.
Yeah, I think she's just kind of happy where she's at. Crazy enough.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Rogers, who takes down 3-2. Reagan Rogers, a senior from Blanchard, Oklahoma. Oklahoma with 6 seniors on their squad. Rogers making her 53rd plate appearance of the season. 327 the average, and she will not get an official at bat here as she'll walk.
It's actually her 9th walk of the season. Rogers is no stranger to competition as a Sooner. She's played in 40 games this season, but only has started 18. So she's familiar with coming in with opportunities to pinch hit and be a member of this squad one way or the other, and has done a great job of getting on base, that being a .444 on base percentage in her opportunities so far this season. So the 9th walk there issued by Caitlin Bingham.
Now Nicole Mendez to short. Derrico boots it and throws late to first. Pretty routine play for Lori, and we saw that unfortunately against East Carolina, where she mishandled a ground ball, and the throw a little late to first. That's going to be the first error of the game, and it comes against the Shockers.
And at a tough time too. Lori Derrico's turned so many double plays, that one being in a chance at it again to get out of this inning before seeing another hitter from the Oklahoma Sooners and getting the Shockers back on offense, and just uncharacteristic. Lori Derrico's a great senior shortstop, has made tougher plays than that before, just attempting to, I think, get rid of the ball before she actually had it, and that's a very common thing to do when you know that you've got an opportunity for a close bag over at second base for that out. So tough call for the Shockers. So OU continuing a very heavy offensive inning and staring down the necks of a potential run roll.
Kylie Lundberg is the new pitch hitter here, taking down and away. 1 ball and no strikes. And another senior. So we've seen a pair of seniors, Jamie, Reagan Rogers and Lundberg, who are both coming off the bench. This team brings seniors off the bench, meaning a lot of their front line players are coming back again for another year or 2. Two balls and no strikes, the count here to Lundberg, and this might be the last batter for Caitlin Bingham to face, as McDonald has been warming up for a good few minutes now. Swing and a miss, 2-1.
You know, regardless of the outcome, having 9 hits and 8 runs against the top team in the nation, Caitlin Bingham, I think this is a big day for her. She did not struggle as much as we've seen her struggle with her command, and has really, again, just gone right at this team who has the best offense in Division I softball. So I think that you have to really look at the sophomore and say that this was a growing opportunity for her. Even if you pick up a loss here and you gave up 9 runs to the Oklahoma Sooners, you have to look at this as a positive as you progress through the rest of the conference series.
You can get better as a pitcher and a hitter for facing a team like Oklahoma. And so kind of like the fact that this game is stashed down near the end of the regular season for Wichita State. Took something off there, And down goes Lundberg. The change gets her for the second out of the inning.
Great pitch from Caitlin Bingham. We've seen her have an opportunity there to ring up other hitters tonight with her changeup. She's had fantastic command of it. It has been hit a couple times tonight, but that one being right in the part of the zone to get Lundberg with big out number 2. And as you mentioned, Steve, you know, when else to face a fantastic team, the best team in softball right now, than when you're heading in to face Tulsa next weekend, the number 2 team in the American Conference, and then South Florida, the number 1 team. So from here, Wichita State has their hands full. They're facing a lot of great teams, and they're a great team. So it's a good time to get the wheels moving again as they progress through the remainder of this season here.
Another pinch hitter for the Sooners is Aaliyah Flores, a sophomore out of Colton, California, takes a strike, 0-1. That was the first strikeout of the game recorded by Caitlin Bingham. That's not necessarily a bad thing for her, though. Again, it's not something she necessarily lives by. 1 ball, 1 strike to count to Flores, a .255 hitter on the year, 12 of 47. Change, a strike. They've packed him in at Wilkins Stadium. Oklahoma leading by 8. The 1-2, a little up high.
We talked about the Shockers selling out this place before, and there was questions about standing room in the outfield. Well, the fence has grown a couple of inches over the summer, a brand new fence here at Wilkins Stadium, so that did not provide opportunities for standing room, but I'm sure there would be had that opportunity been available.
What a diving catch by Wiley Glover to end the top of the 5th inning. There's another candidate for our play of the game. Now can the Shockers get on the board? They trail by 8 as we go to the bottom of the 5th. Addie Reese will get it started for Wichita State.
Third base, position
As
5.
Oklahoma had a few pinch hitters in the top of the 5th inning, and they seemingly have brought in almost entirely new defense here in the bottom of the 5th. We'll try to keep you abreast on the changes, but we do know that Addie Reese is coming to the plate and that Mariah Lopez is still out in the circle for Oklahoma. It's not unusual for the Sooners not just to win, but to win big. They've won 31 of their 41 games this season by at least 5 runs. This is also the 25th game of the season where they have multiple home runs in a game. Tonight, it's happened with 2 from the same player, and Jocelyn Olive. No balls in his strike to Addie Reese. That one had some movement on it, down and away. Reese lined to first in her only at bat, a pretty well struck ball back in the 2nd inning, but right to Grace Green, who was at first. Behind on that one, 1 and 2.
Addie Reese, again, just a freshman this year, so you just really got to be excited for her, seeing the #1 team in the nation in her very first season as a collegiate player. Again, the growth that Steve mentioned earlier, that it really gives to you as a player and as a team to face off with the talent that OU has. So it's only going to make the Shockers better, having seen the great pitching and the hitting that they have tonight.
Back to the screen, 2 and 2.
Defensive substitutions for the Sooners, moving from third base to shortstop, number 2, Sydney Romero. Now playing third base, number 15, Aaliyah Flores.
Shockers just 2 hits on the night. Bailey Nickerson, a 2nd inning single, and Neely Herring, a 3rd inning single, and that has been it. And a swing and a miss there. Down goes Reese. 1 away. 5th strikeout of the game for Mariah Lopez. Here's Lauren Mills, strikeout victim in the 2nd.
Lauren Mills does not strike out very often. That was just her 8th strikeout on the season. Again, not playing in every single game, but in her opportunities up at the plate, she gets on base very regularly. So quite the uncommon and uncharacteristic experience for her earlier. Again, just a freshman. So having a great season so far, and really can't get onto her too much for being a strikeout victim against the great Lopez.
Who not only has struck out 5 tonight, Jamie, but no walks for Lopez either. Out of Saugus, California, Lopez is just a junior, so assuming the Shockers play Oklahoma next year, that's a pretty safe assumption. We'll see her in a Sooner uniform next season. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Pretty safe assumption considering these two teams have now met 52 times, including tonight's contest. Mills fouled that at the plate, or did she? She didn't foul it, but it still came out of the glove, so Lauren's got to be tagged out, and was 2 away. It seems like Lopez is getting stronger, Jamie, as the night's gone on. That is her 6th strikeout, Jamie, but her 4th in the last 5 batters. Now Neely Herring, who's got a base hit for Wichita State. I've said it many times, it's not necessarily how many you strike out, it's how many you don't walk. And Lopez perfect in the walk department tonight with none. Swing and a miss. It's 0-2. Shockers to the road this weekend. They'll be in Tulsa. Only 3 home games for Wichita State left after tonight. That's when they wrap up the season. A week from Friday, Saturday, and Sunday against South Florida. Strikeout to Herring. So Neely goes down swinging, and the mercy rule in effect. Ball game over. Final score, Oklahoma 8, Wichita State nothing. Back with the final wrap in a moment.